In this short video, I will cover all the concepts that I have explained for other languages, this time for Ruby. First, we have this function call, which is the equivalent of print in other languages. In Ruby, function calls don't need parentheses, so you could remove it. And this is the way you will find this call usually. Variables are not declared, but the values are like in other languages, strings, numbers, and booleans. A boolean value can also be calculated from an expression like this one, units greater or equal to 3. We also have the if statement, where the condition can also be an expression like units greater or equal to 3. Then we can also add more conditions like else if. In Ruby you write else if, in Python if you remember it's elif. So here we can add other conditions. So if units is greater or equal to 5, I will discount 1.5. If units is greater to or equal to 3, I will discount 0.5. I could add more else if sections, or I could also add an else section. Notice that the if statement ends with the word end. Here we have an expression. I am calculating units times price and storing it in a total variable. I could also subtract or add more operations to the expression. Here's another puts statement, and I'm using string interpolation in it. Here I have a while example where I'm calculating how many units I could buy with the money in my wallet. Max units will tell me that amount. Now here below I have an example using a class. The class is not written here. It's loaded with this require statement that loads the movie class, which is written in this other file. I am creating two movies. You can see that in Ruby, instead of writing new movie, you write movie.new. You could remove the parentheses here too, but I like to leave them. I'm used to languages with parentheses. I will uncomment these lines to print the information of the movies here and after some changes. This is the same example you have seen before. Again, you could remove the parentheses in all the function calls, but I will leave them. If I run the program, you will see the result that you have seen in previous examples. The last statement, I will uncomment it and I will run the program again, and you will see an error because in Ruby you cannot access the properties of a class this way. You can see it says undefined method name for movie class. I will explain this in another video where I explain what is a getter and a setter for all the languages I cover. Now let's move to the movie class file to see how classes are defined in Ruby. You write class movie and then you have the constructor. It's similar to Python, but the name is initialized. Then this @ sign is the same as the this dot in other languages or self in Python. In Ruby, you use just this @ sign to access properties. You can also initialize a property with a constant value. Then let's see the functions. Functions like in Python, you use the def keyword and you don't need to put parentheses if there are no parameters. The naming convention is also similar to Python with the underscores. The return keyword is not necessary. The last statement is implicitly returned. Here I'm using string interpolation to build a string. Another function without the parentheses because there are no parameters. And here I am modifying, I'm incrementing 1 to the view count. And yet another function with one parameter.